Hey, my name is BJ Kramer. I'm the president and CEO of MCFA, and we wanted to start this video or give you this video as a bit of a getting to know us. You probably got this from somewhere on LinkedIn or maybe through our email mail or through our network. Bottom line up front is we've had some success over the years in M&A and acquisitions and acqui-hires are becoming a bigger and bigger part of our growth strategy. And we wanted to take some time and tell you a little bit about MCFA, what we think makes us work, and maybe what makes us attractive or not attractive to you. So I'll start with who I am. Again, BJ Kramer, president and CEO of MCFA, 2004 West Point graduate. I've been at MCFA since 2012 after, I would say, a pretty successful career in the military. I was an engineer officer, did some operational time in engineering units doing combat operations in Iraq, and then had a final assignment on active duty at Aberdeen Proving Ground, overseeing BRAC construction, base realignment and closure with the Philadelphia District Corps of Engineers, where I met MCFA, and I'm going to hand it over to my CFO and business partner, Jon Nehlsen, here in a second, but joined in 2012 and bought the majority ownership in 2019 and have been doing our best to implement a growth plan since. Jon joined me, I guess, joined back about 18 months ago. So Jon, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thanks, BJ. Jon Nehlsen, Chief Financial Officer here at MCFA. Actually helped start the company, and we'll talk a little bit about our history a little later today. Helped start the company a number of years ago, and then 2 years ago, bought in with BJ, and now we're business partners.
So I think what we want to do is try to break out who we are, what we do, how we do it into 4 categories. We're going to talk a little bit about culture, the history of the company, the type of projects and clients we work with, and then what I hope is the most attractive, or at least we think it's the reason why somebody would want to join us, is get into the platform as we see it. So starting with culture, I think Leadership 101 is culture starts with the core values that you have. And we try to use those core values as a filter for how we judge ourselves, how we filter out who's coming to work for us, how we review and reward people. So I think the core values are how we are doing our best to drive the culture we're looking to build. And I'm a military guy, so an acronym always helps. We use the acronym of LEADS, LEADS, and L stands for love. You got to love the work. You got to love the people you're working with. You got to love coming to work. E is entrepreneurial spirit. We want people who think like entrepreneurs, which is about creating value in the world. It's about intelligent risk taking. It's about owning outcomes. It's about persisting until you succeed. A is accountability. Accountability to me is following through, doing what you said you were going to do, even when you don't feel like doing it. I wanted a company where, I'm not just asking everybody to be accountable to their commitments. I want to be accountable to our company. So I think accountability is the glue that makes the growth plan actually happen. D is delight. We want to delight customers internally and externally. Revenue is the lifeblood of any business. And we know that starts with pleasing our clients, creating raving fans, creating renewal business. And then the last one is stretch. Many companies out there, sole proprietorships, small businesses, they get to a point where they finally stabilized and maybe they just get comfortable. We don't want to be that. We are constantly trying to stretch ourselves individually and stretch the company collectively. So we need people here that are looking to stretch themselves. They're not coming here just to sit in one role. They're coming here knowing that we are constantly expanding and growing, widening the aperture and trying to increase our impact on the industry. So that's it. Love, entrepreneurial spirit, accountability, delight, and stretch.
And it just hit me. Leads, as in MCFA leads, the verb, not the noun.
Correct.
Not sales leads.
That's right. That's a good point.
That we lead.
Yeah. Active.
All right, BJ, let's talk about the history a little bit. What's important for people to know about our history?
I think I hit a little bit of this, but MCFA was founded in 2003. So we've been around a while. I think that we're a small business, but not a startup. We've got 20 years plus of lessons learned, of project experience, of client engagements, of repeat customers. So I think that is probably the number one thing about the history. Two is that our body of work has evolved over time. We set out, or we were started by a planner, and that planner really saw himself. And the mantra at the time when I came here was, we are a dedicated team of problem solvers. So I think the history, while many businesses are started by a founder and they go very deep technically, I think that the nature of planning maybe, and Michael's background, is that it's a wide aperture of understanding the problem set of clients. So we've always had a pretty wide aperture and saw ourselves as problem solvers and consultants and leaders to our clients, trying to figure out, how do you navigate the problem? How do you navigate the policy? How do you navigate the program? How do you build the team? I think personally, the history for me is I met MCFA at Aberdeen's Proving Ground while I was on active duty. They were seeing a lot of success and serving a lot of customers that I was interacting with down at Aberdeen Proving Ground. So I met them in 2007 and joined the team in 2012. And then maybe the short history is I bought the majority ownership in 2019, which is when we became an SDVOSB. And I think we got very intentional about a growth plan, building a platform and being a place that was attractive for employees to work at and for clients to work with.
And when you bought the company, we had 17 employees?
We were 17 then and 70
So
now.
you 4X'd it since 2019 in your time as owner.
I will say that the 4X really happened over the last 4 years. COVID was in there. There was a little bit of getting your feet under you. As much as I had been in and around every leadership conversation and most ownership conversations from 2012 to 19, you don't know what you don't know until you're actually in the seat and you have skin in the game. So I would say I spent 2 years truly understanding that in detail, and navigating COVID and kind of all the mini crises that came from there. So 21 to 25 is really where we've seen that growth.
Great. Can you talk about both the headquarters and where those 70 people are concentrated today?
Yeah, so heavily in the Mid-Atlantic. We're headquartered in Haddonfield, New Jersey. We're recording from Haddonfield, New Jersey, quaint town just outside of Philadelphia. I would say 80% of our team is spread between New York City and Washington, D.C., and then a smattering of folks across the country, depending on, we got some people in Chicago, we've got some work in California and Texas, but the vast majority of the epicenter, if you will, is here in the Mid-Atlantic.
We work on a lot of projects, BJ, and I think there's probably a through line that we work on major infrastructure projects here in the Mid-Atlantic with, again, to your point, some smattering outside the Mid-Atlantic, and very interested in growing beyond our current geography. What would you have to say about our projects?
I think for the size, pretty wide aperture on both the service component and the industry. The Army Corps of Engineers was my kind of my transition into the industry, and they remain a client today. If I had the pie in front of me, and maybe we will, 60-ish federal, and inside of that 60-ish federal is probably 80% or more defense. And then we have transportation and infrastructure, and then we have diversified markets. Inside of transportation infrastructure, we're talking transportation agencies, ports, airports, and then inside of diversified, we've got healthcare in there, we've got hospitality, we've got stadiums, we have public utilities. Again, we're a small business, but 70 employees and not quite 70 clients, but probably 40 clients at any one time.
And talk for a minute about the nature of the work we do within those projects. You talked about some horizontal construction, I'll call it, the highways and the bridges and so forth, as well as vertical construction when you talk hospitality.
For sure.
But what specifically are we doing within those projects?
So the age-old question is, how do you best capture the services that we do and the clients that we do it for? You started out by saying the through line is complex infrastructure. And I would say it's complex construction or complex campus. It is the built environment and the problem sets and the large projects that go along with the types of clients that we work with. I try to simplify it to myself as there's all of that stuff that goes on before you've actually defined what the problem is or what the project is. We'll call that planning and strategy work. And inside of that, it might be data collection, it might be stakeholder engagement, it might be an asset assessment or an asset management, a facility management system. It might be just gathering the intel of what all is going on here. I would call the through line of everything we do is really program management. It's looking from the owner's seat at their portfolio of assets, their portfolio of facilities, their campus, their infrastructure, figuring out what needs to be improved and how do we improve it. You might call it reducing total cost of operation, reducing total cost of ownership. You might call it just getting an initiative from here to there. So navigating that program management is probably the best umbrella we have. And then in implementation, project management, construction engineering, inspection, all of the diligence and oversight, safety assurance that goes on during execution. So we live the life cycle of a project through operations and maintenance and even into renovation and renewal. So I would say, and then to your point, horizontal, vertical, highways, rail, stadiums, locker rooms, healthcare, hospitals, horizontal or vertical. And then even when you get inside of a hospital, I'll go off the cuff here. We're not an IT company. We're not an EHR, electronic health record company. But when building infrastructure becomes a roadblock to a client's enterprise-wide EHR, like it did with the VA, we started getting engaged with Oracle and the VA on their electronic health record system. So maybe it's just adjacent to what we would typically call the built environment, but to me, it's just a part of a problem set that an enterprise is dealing with, and it touches the infrastructure. So we figure out how do we help solve problems there.
The start of the company and sort of the core of the company is, would you say, is in physical infrastructure?
Without a doubt.
But what's evolved is some engagement, it sounds like, with the electronic infrastructure, the people infrastructure, the process infrastructure
Totally.
Of those organizations.
Yeah, and I didn't talk about this. The core of the business that we are building and that I envision is inspiring people and places. So to me, people are our clients and people are our employees. Anything that we can do to breathe life into them, and then the spaces that or the infrastructure or the buildings that they're responsible for, to me, that's inspires to breathe life into. And if we can give employees and maybe you, current owner or sole proprietor, if we can breathe life into you, energize you, activate you, help you become the best version of yourself, while at the same time helping our clients personally become the best version of themselves and help their organizations. To me, that's stewardship of public resources. It's taking care of people. It's really all of the ethos of leadership that I get to turn our organization or our business into my life's work.
So in terms of an acquisition strategy for us, very interested, of course, in acquiring companies that complement us in the built environment, in infrastructure.
For sure.
But in addition, if you're an owner of a professional services business, maybe not quite situated in the construction end of things or the infrastructure maintenance end of things, but you still have a professional services company, we are attempting, and I think I'd love you to elaborate on this, to build out a platform which works for those businesses as well.
Before I go there, I think it's important to say, when I bought into MCFA, we were a 17-person company. There is no magic pill. There's no magic wand that takes you from 17 to 70. It was all lessons learned, hard work, spit and grit. Trying to figure it out and failing time and time again, and then having success, and then failing again and having success. So the benefit I had was I got to be a little bit of a chief of staff to Michael without having skin in the game from 2012 to 2018. Call it. I was sales. I was, dishwasher. You name it. I was trying to figure out what opportunity is laying on the floor and how do I pick it up and help Michael. And it gave me the benefit of trying to look at the business and see what a lot of entrepreneurs end up doing. You get so wrapped up in trying to manage the company you have, you can't grow the company you want. I consider myself blessed and lucky and grateful that I had that experience and that I got this opportunity to buy the company without having to go through all that upfront startup phase, if you will. And I got to look down on the business and really understand what does a business owner, what does a project manager, because I think the rubber meets the road at the project manager, client facing, responsible for the sale, responsible for the contract, responsible for the company's performance, but also responsible for the client's performance. What does that person need? Because what Michael is and was a very good account manager who was curious, cared a lot about the work, cared a lot about the problem set, and cared a lot about the client. What does somebody like Michael need? And how do you wrap him with a set of systems, a platform, if you will, to make his job a little less frustrating, a little less stressful, a little bit easier to succeed at? And we should have him on an interview in the future, which is like, I think we gave him that. We gave him his set of clients, we gave him a set of systems, and we created new value for him. To me, the platform comes down to four things: people, partners, programs, and then processes. And the people are the team members we have: back office, client facing, associate level, all the technical people. We have people. We have 70 people. We have a chief talent officer, an entire division focused on filtering and selecting and helping us train and deploy and get benefits right. So we have people in all the right places, all the right seats. Partners, these are prime contract partners. These are big business partners. These are mentors out there in the world. We have a huge network of partners that we do business with, prime to sub. We sub to them, we're prime, they're sub. That set of partnerships allows us to be both confident and quick in the marketplace when the situation dictates. Programs, to me, that's the practice areas. It's some of these contract vehicles that we have. I think it is the certifications. They give us a little bit of a programmatic approach to business development. And then last is process. And this is the one that systems engineer and me, as entrepreneurial and as visionary as I might want to be most of the time, I know that systems allow for scale. Systems allow for predictability. Systems allow for consistency. So inside of our systems, our brand, I'll do a little bit of bragging, I think, is we have a podcast that I don't think anybody else is doing. We're 200 episodes plus in. That podcast is routine, it's consistent, it's putting our brand out there. It's putting a lot of our relationships out there, interviewing other people in the industry. A weekly email that has been going out since, I don't know, March 20th of COVID was the first email I sent out. Started out as an internal email, and somebody sent it to a client. The client said, hey, I would love to be on this email list. So we started sending it out to the entire industry. EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, created by Gino Wickman, the book Traction. First business book I read that felt like it didn't just tell me philosophies about how to do things. It gave you a good framework for creating cadence and accountability inside of our business. And there's a number of processes that fall off of that, including the level 10, which is our weekly sync at the corporate level, and then at the business unit level and the department level. And then my favorite is MCFA University. The military may be a warfighting organization, but it spends most of its time training. So to me, part of stretching people is giving our part in helping them stretch, which is training them. So we have MCFA University, 4:30 to 5:15 every Tuesday. Combination of project success and project failures and lessons learned that are shared across the company. It's a way to keep the company connected, but it's also a way to keep our employees pushing themselves and constantly learning.
So you're getting into some great things here, and it's exactly where I wanted to go.
Okay.
I think the important thing is you're talking to businesses that might combine forces with us is what is your day or week going to be like when you're part of MCFA? And I think, and you started to do it, but let's spell it out a little more. The operating system that we operate by.
Yep.
And what are some things that are part of our platform, part of our structure that might be unusual to a business owner that's coming either from a smaller environment or an environment which was maybe less focused in investing in the team, or it's just different in whatever way. When I came into the company and when I bought into the company, a lot of this infrastructure already existed. And frankly, at the beginning, I thought, man, some of this it just feels weird because it's more structured than I was accustomed to. But then over a short period of time, I started to see the beauty in it because there's real cadence to it. And I think probably part of what matters here is if you're someone who thinks that structure and cadence and repeatability and predictability can help your business, that is what a business owner will find with us. Would you agree with that or not?
100%. I think that once you reach a certain point of success or freedom, you are now only accountable to yourself. And that feels good for a while, but it's not sustainable. And I don't think that it's the thing stopping somebody from taking the next leap. So I think that while accountability sounds like a bad thing, over time, to your point, like I said, I want to be accountable to the team. All of a sudden, you're accountable to the goals and you're accountable to the team around you. We might reinvigorate your own ability to stretch or your desire to stretch. And that would lead to other things like what other parts of our platform we have, because I think what stops most people from stretching is they just don't want to create new headaches for themselves. Mm-hmm. They finally got it to a point. And you have been working so hard to build our back office to take some of that headache and unpredictability off of the owners or create transparency at the project manager level so that true accountability and responsibility is empowered and delegated.
We like systems. Okay, last question for you. What else do you think it's important for a business owner that's going to combine forces with us to know about MCFA? I would think that growth would be a part of it. Mm-hmm. I would think that there are some things probably beyond money that really matter that you'd want to know going into it. And I would think probably there's something around the core values that are that's important to really think about.
100%. I mean, look, this is a really important decision for anybody. So if you are contemplating this, I would start with the core values. Do you love the work? Are you just done? Do you still have the entrepreneurial spirit? Do you have a desire to be accountable? Do you still love the clients, and do you still want to delight clients? And to the point of we are here growing and we need people accountable and we want people that want to stretch. And all of that requires hard work. Everything I said about the platform is constantly evolving and improving. We have the foundation of what I think will continue to get better and better, but it's not a magic pill. It's not something that, when I join MCFA, all of a sudden they give me the red pill and I start selling and I stop worrying about everything. It's a evolution over time of how do you synergize your highest and best skill sets, your highest and best value in the marketplace with our systems to unleash you and to reinvigorate you. So I go back to the whole idea is us breathing life into you and you breathing life into us. It has to work that way. We have to grow together. 1 + 1, the goal is that it equals 3. So it's very much like use this as your filter to figure out, hey, could I get along with these guys? But we're not for everybody. I recognize that, and that's why we're doing the video. Save all of us the calendar time and the scheduling logistics, and say, hell yes, this feels like exactly what I need where I'm at right now, or this is definitely not for me. I went into small business because I was sick of somebody telling me what to do. I'm not here to tell you what to do. We are here to tell ourselves what needs to be done to take the company to the next level and then be accountable to each other. If you rely on me bossing you around, we will both fail here. I got too much on my plate to be the energy or the micromanager. It's really about us constantly improving and making an impact on clients and in the industry.
BJ, I think that's a great summary of MCFA. Is there anything we missed or any parting thought you would want to leave people with?
Last is, we didn't touch on the idea of service-disabled veteran-owned small business. We are one. It certainly has some contractual advantage in the industry. I came from the veteran community. The company we are building is the company I wish we were back when I got off active duty. All I wanted to do was be unleashed in the marketplace. And what I realized was but we didn't have all the systems in place that allowed me to be that frictionless PM out there growing a piece of this business. So I set out to build the business that I wanted. We're not there yet. We're getting better every day, but it's fun. It's not easy, but I think it's worthwhile. And at the end of the day, our North Star is to get to 1,000 project leaders. We think everybody in this industry should have a leadership mindset. I go back to stewardship. We are advising clients. We are working on important projects. Everybody, like the military structure, has to have a bit of a leadership mindset in addition to their technical attributes. And I think when we do that, we will unleash a lot of great energy and great career paths for our employees.
Thanks, pal. Sign me up.